Hello, creatives, community, and kind folks. Welcome to RPG with DBJ. I am your host, DBJ. And of course, all of you that are able to take part in this show live are the co hosts. And we are continuing our delve into objectives and outcomes. Basically, a very simple way to make your classic tabletop role playing game conflicts, battles, have more meaning, more meat to it. Get rid of the boring stuff. And an objective is like, what's the win condition? What does each side want to achieve? And the outcome is, what happens if the players do or do not get involved in this particular conflict? What happens if they win or lose? What's the aftermath? So, guys, put your feet up, get your snacks, listen in, take part. Let's get into it for our tabletop role-playing fantasy games. If you're aware, you already know what our process is here. We're going to take a look at 4 objectives and 4 outcomes, mix, match, twist them, change them live, because we just do this show live. Very little prep, unscripted, and let's get into it. So, to the left, we have our objectives. We have destroy, shelter, avoid, and disrupt. And mind you, these are not straitjackets, and there's no mechanical features in here, but these are just objectives that either the players and or the enemies may have to have a win condition. Now, for example, a destroy objective, this definitely sounds like something for the adversaries, for the enemy. And maybe they want to destroy a monument, destroy a community, destroy relationships. But let's talk about something physical, okay? The players may be confronted with enemies. Make up something fundamentally dangerous, right? Ogres with pet, rabid wolves or something. There could be snake-like creatures they're battling, or whatever the case may be, golems or something. But the ultimate goal may be for those adversaries to destroy something, or better yet, the players are being confronted with enemies, but behind the enemies, someone or some agency or whatever is performing something to destroy. Let's say setting fire to people's homes, or collapsing a bridge, or destroying documents, or whatever the case may be. So now the players have a choice. Do they roll initiative and just attack what's in front of them, or do they try to figure out a way to stop the destruction? Maybe there are no enemies facing them directly. There's just a small village being raided, and so now the players are using. Do they just attack the enemies and let the homes burn, or heck, it could be homes, it could be supplies, it could be sinking a ship or burning crops or something, or do they use their badass resources to put the fires out? Now, the destruction itself, your timing in the destruction can be anything from days or weeks all the way up to immediacy. Like, hey, if you don't get a high enough initiative score, some of these things are going to get destroyed. And so giving the players the ability to save things on their own, to use their tactics together, I think is a really great objective. And sure, the players can beat ass, but maybe having the thing destroyed anyway means that they've already lost, no matter how many times they hit the enemy about the head and shoulders, if they have head and shoulders. Shelter is very similar. We talked about this, about slicing some of these prompts. I had to make up 20 prompts, did it real quick, put them together. But all these prompts, we could actually use our thesaurusinian skills and use those skills to subdivide all of these things. Like, for example, sheltering is similar, but maybe not the same as protecting or blocking or diverting or what have you. I think of shelter as like finding shelter in a uh, during like an ecological event like sandstorms or thunderstorms or crashing waves or something like that. Shelter can also be sheltering and hiding refugees that may be hunted by a dark lord or something of that nature. Uh, it could be taking shelter for themselves, the players. Even more dangerous or strange bedfellows where the players and the enemy both must take shelter in the same place to wait out, I don't know, the sandstorm or the deadly necrotic lightning bolts that strike down from the sky periodically or something like that. Um, an avoid objective may simply be, it's not necessary and actually not even smart to get into a fight. How about we just avoid this situation altogether? The players are going through the woods and they see the ogres dragging a well-used tree with bloodstains on it, and maybe got a cow under his arm or something. And the players are like, "Yeah, we can understand that there's an ogre out here, and there might be more, but maybe just avoid the situation entirely." And the players, especially if they're emotionally drawn into a conflict, may not want to avoid a particular situation, but maybe avoiding is the best bet rather than getting involved in a protracted battle, even if they will. Yeah, necrotic lightning for the win. Yeah, I don't know. I just, it's ass pulling. So, disruption objective could be maybe disrupting a wedding or some kind of ceremony. It could be disrupting an ancient ritual or what have you. Maybe there's a totalitarian regime does things specifically by the book, very predictable, and disrupting that may be just enough for allies or people under threat to run for their lives or escape or something of that nature. Even disrupting a coronation or a wedding or something of that nature. Maybe there's a leadership, and it could be an embarrassment to the person being coronated, or the wedding, or the treaty being signed, or whatever. Or maybe the disruption is enough to change the minds of those who may be scared and are agreeing to sign the documents or pass over their loved ones or something like that. And the players may be it may be just enough to disrupt a proceeding to allow things to fall apart. Now we're going to go to the outcomes, because objectives are what one side or the other, or maybe both sides, want to achieve. It's like, hey, the best thing here is to let's say the player character side, to destroy something. So maybe there are war machines used by the evil government, and destroying them or destroying the factory is the best thing. So we want to go in, sabotage, throw in some explosives. Players love that kind of stuff. Throw a hand grenade or whatever into the thing to destroy the factory that's punching out these very strong militarized mechanical beasts or whatever. And that destruction may be necessary, but we also want to consider outcomes, the aftermath. What happens when one side either wins or loses, one side decides to ignore or embrace what's going on? Oftentimes when sometimes players make strange choices, and whether they make a choice or not making a choice is a choice, and not getting involved is a choice. So what happens then? So we have ourselves a couple of outcomes. Another 4. And we have hunted, captured, systemless, and no resource. Maybe it should say no resources. There we go. And in this context, hunted, super classic, right? Players get involved, they beat ass or not, but at the end of that outcome is that they will become hunted. It could be that the players are mistakenly, but usually it's true, that they did something wrong. They broke some kind of law or offended someone, and now they are they have the proverbial wanted signs, and they're being hunted by bounty hunters or the enemy, the armies, criminal organizations, religious institutions, whatever. And uh, what are the goals of being hunted? Are they going to be hunted and executed, hunted and sold back to the enemy? What does that mean? Now, the hunted part could apply to the enemy, right? Like the players engage the enemy and then convince the authorities or legal system to hunt down anyone associated with this evil cult or something like that. But hunted tends to fall on the side of the player characters. And that's a very fun way to continue the storyline, because now the players are constantly on the run. They don't know who to trust. They have to hide and sneak. Being a badass and standing out there in the open might not be the smartest thing anymore. So the players may need to learn how to hide themselves, always cloaking their movements and hiding out. So hunted, very cool. Now, captured could actually be the end result of being hunted in the first place, but okay, but whatever the case may be, captured may be the outcome of a number of things. For example, the player characters could, like superhero stories, right? Player characters fight bad guys, and then at the end of it, the bad guys are arrested and captured. Players may be running through the city, and the outcome of it may not be death. It could just be being captured, which is a very common, I would say even tropish outcome for avoiding a TPK where all the players are killed. Instead, it's like, oh, well, next game you wake up because you've been captured, and now you have to escape the drow from the city of the Dark Elves or something like that. Also being, captured could be, maybe it's not related to the players, but related to the people that the players have rescued or are trying to get out of a sticky situation. Going back to the coronation and the wedding, maybe the players were trying to disrupt this wedding or coronation or whatever. Maybe not by the NPC's choices, but if the players fail, the enemy doesn't want the player characters. They want the prince to be captured and imprisoned, and to, hey, you promised to marry the princess, not knowing that she was an evil hag or a naga or some shape-shifted monster, but you promised to marry her, and you're going to go through with it, right? And the players may go, oh no, I can't believe the prince got captured. All right, we got to figure out how to get him out of there or something. What is it? What's the classic story? The Man in the Iron Mask with there's a twin of this individual. yeah. Is it TPK what you want? Well, I don't know. Euthanasia is an important subject that's swept under the rug far too often. Well, I don't think we see as many TPKs as people think there are. Although I will admit that with the resurgence of everyone playing like Shadow Dark as the top contender for one of the most widespread OSR styled games. So what is it, Dungeon Crawl Classics and a billion other things are out there that are similar to that. But yeah, it's kind of fun. I don't know. I just feel like if everybody's dead, that kind of ends the story, right? Like, I understand the threat of dying is important, but the actual death actual death when it comes to creativity really doesn't lead to anything else, unless of course players come back to life, or you're playing their kitties. You want to play through their, I don't know, eventual return, or making whole brand new characters that are out to get revenge or a justice for the people that already died. But yeah, I know people in the gaming community, the simulationist part is death should be on the table, but no one really wants that. If I've spent 20 hours making up a game world, I don't want I don't want all the players to die because I've got more stuff to show you. And the players are like, hey, I died in the first 5 minutes. What do I do now? It's like, I don't know. Pick up your phone and get distracted or something. Now, when the other two when the outcomes are systemless and no resources. I love these little names. Do you murder McHoboson? Murder McHoboson. Take Gorgolon, the World Eater, as your lawfully wedded abomination? Yes, I do. And do you? Gorgolon, the World Eater. Take, murder McHoboson. Oh, I can see like Cthulhu standing there, towering over everyone, tentacles and moist fluids dripping off of it. And Murder McHoboson is like, what did I get myself into? Oh, man. Hugging a tentacle of Cthulhu. I love you so much. Oh, man. But yeah, I mean, sometimes the most insignificant or boring, or shall I say, like resource draining encounter could be something like that, right? Where all you have to do is add in like an event, like a festival or a holiday, or the opposite, like a funeral, or saying goodbye to something, or people are leaving and never coming back, and some other kind of like holiday, maybe alignment of the stars, whatever, and then the people kind of act out. Yeah, moist tentacles better than dry ones. It's the leading question, right? It's the legalese leading question. How many times have you been making sweet love to moist tentacles? And it's like, how long? Not long at all. Oh no, we are not getting into hentai over here. So going our last two, systemless and no resource. Okay, so again, similar slices of the same pie. So in this sense, systemless and no resources represents like maybe there's a regime, a rules that have been set up, structure set up for a community, and if the outcome could be no systems at all, systemless, meaning there's no trade coming through the trade routes, there are no ships coming in the port, food and water has been disrupted, maybe there's an aqueduct or a well that no longer is usable, maybe the food stores are no longer going, which actually goes with no resources. So let me take that back slightly. What are some other no resources? No leadership at all. No one to go to, no law enforcement, no the individuals in power are no longer there. You're so funny. I'm just gonna leave that there, right? Yeah. Maybe the systems are destroyed and the players may be responsible for that, or they are fighting to prevent that from happening. For example, everyone of leadership has been gathered together. I think you've missed their sounds there, Drew. I don't know if you've missed the actual kittens themselves, but if they make if Brutus makes an appearance, and I'm sure you won't have to worry. That's why I wear the blanket, because they're young enough where their climbing techniques are about jumping. It's more about clawing in. So I gotta protect the skin, because I've got micro tears all over the thighs and the calves and knees. So without having systems, it could be that the players save the day, but then they destroyed the community. So if the people can't eat, they can't travel, they don't know who to go to get certain resources, there's no protection necessary, available for the people. The guilds, maybe there are guilds that do things like, there's the blacksmith guild, and of course I'm talking fantasy, but blacksmith guild, maybe there's a individuals that buy, sell, and trade and disperse food and water and shelter or something, and maybe all of that is gone. And important individuals may have gathered together in the town hall, and then that town hall has been surrounded and sealed in. And going back to the destroy objective, right? Someone's about to set fire to it, and all the important and brilliant people for the community may be threatened, and the players are like, okay, if we don't do anything and we don't reveal ourselves, and we don't want to reveal ourselves, maybe that's important. But if the community loses all the individuals that help them run their society, then that's also dangerous as well, which blends in here. As you can tell, even I was hard to differentiate between systemless and no resources, because having no resources is also pretty dangerous. If we go out of fantasy, having no air to breathe, lack of gravity, but lack of food and water and shelter are also resources that may be needed, and getting involved or not getting involved could be the outcome of such a thing. For example, having that fight in the warehouse where there's rice and grains and other foods and fruits and vegetables, and one of the player characters sets off a fireball. Well, maybe you won, but now people can't eat because you just destroyed the very foods that they were going to use for the winter that they've collected together, you know. And we often don't think about the aftermath of players' actions, although the enemy very well could threaten to destroy that stuff, so that the outcome is of destruction could be no resources. But the same could be said for, if we want to go more arcane, like destroying a consecrated religious institution, and the destruction of that thing could be that the people feel that they are not blessed any longer, and that, you know, the divine isn't looking over them, mechanically speaking, so that maybe the enemy can now walk through the barrier, you know, this invisible line that's around the city. Now they can go through it, and now all of a sudden they're like, oh, we don't have the resources necessary to keep ourselves alive, because we've been hoping that the you're so silly there, Drew. We've been hoping that the good graces of, come on, kitty, come on, yeah, come on, Brutus. The good graces of the I don't know, the Lord of Light and Justice can no longer see us because the monument was destroyed, and so now we don't have that. And maybe that's how the people were able to collect, get water out of the well, and get the, do the hunting gathering. Hey, kitty, come on. There you go. Yeah, you don't have to go after the foot. Purr, purr, purr. Purr, purr, purr. Let's see if you can hear her. You're so funny. You're like a... Ooh, I shouldn't have put your claws on that. It's like a little pantyhose. It's like a single pantyhose. Aw. Thank you, kitty. All right, so the going back to our objectives and outcomes here, like the destroy and shelter objective, and like the hunted and capture outcomes, we can absolutely mix and match these. And mind you, even if you don't tell the players the specificity of it, like although I would suggest doing so, maybe the encounter lends itself to doing this kind of thing. You know, if you roll up the 30 Hobgoblin war band, or we can even come up with something even more boring than that, right? Bandits on the road, or I'll let you know. Bandits on the road, or goblin, fight in a cave, or whatever the case may be. A great thing is to have something like thanks, Drew. Always good to have a dose of kitty. Yeah. Hours after their surgery, they're back to normal now. That was from yesterday. Now they're just rambunctious. Uh, I go off to work. My wife works from home, so they get to sit with her and hang out with her and things like that. So kind of cool. But anyway, hard curve. Back to this. The keeping some of these objectives in the back of your head is a good idea because it allows you the never mind what the players are going to do. If you know what the enemies are going to do, their adversaries, it's a great tool to role play, right? Like if the enemy is trying to destroy this city state because it's sitting on top of something that the enemy finds to be religiously yeah religiously important. Yeah, she is. She helped find them in the shelter, so uh not quite my fault. The kitties they came as a bonded bunch. Yeah, those two they're biologically similar. I don't know if Scarlet will ever poke her head out. She's a little bit, she's smaller and a little bit like, she's much more shy, let's put it that way. But anyway, the idea that you know what the enemy wants is a great role-playing tool, because then you can act and react off of what the player's actions are. So we don't need to stop role-playing just because we rolled dice and rolled initiative or something. The enemy could just be screaming out like, we've warned the people here not to build their city on on our ancient crypt or our religious homeland or something like that. You need to get the hell off of it. And the players are like, oh, that's why you've been fighting. Maybe we can come to some kind of impasse. Is there a physical object we can get underneath the city that's down in the lower catacombs? Maybe that would solve the situation. Something like that. And it can lend itself, come on, kitty. It can lend itself to further stories, right? Like, does the enemy now want to sabotage the city? Are they using, open war may not be the smartest thing, but being a little bit subtle in their approach. Maybe next time, maybe they send infiltrators hiding amongst the population to go down into the catacombs, and the players are like, okay, now we've got a chase going on because they want to go down into the nether catacombs to unlock an ancient curse or find a magic item related to their evil machinations or something like that. And these are all different stories or plot hooks or something that you can do even on the fly. Although for prep, you probably want to know what their objective is in the first place, instead of the players turning a corner and going, oh, I rolled a 38 on the random encounter table, time to roll initiative because there's goblins. Now, if we apply some of these objectives and outcomes and mix and match them, for example, everyone doesn't need to be in alignment. Some of the enemy may want to destroy something, whereas some of the other enemy is like, well, we really don't want to destroy the city, but we do want to get the ancient staff of evil from underneath the city. And the conflict between the two can really give some great role-playing aspects to when the players are like, okay, Lieutenant number 1 wants to destroy the city. Lieutenant number 2 from the bad guy just wants to disrupt life to get the thing. Who's more important? And so then the players could say, well, we don't want the city destroyed. Yep, here go the claws. All right, kitty. We don't want to destroy the city. One side says we don't want to destroy the city or the people. We just want what's ours. And the other side might say, I don't care that whether we get the staff back or not. These people need to get off our land. And so those two problems from the same enemy source, the same spigot of evil, are dripping from the faucet of evil. And players are like, okay, so which cup do we go to? Do we sip upon the cup of destruction, or do we make bubbly bubbles by blowing into the Yeah, kitty. By blowing into the cup of evil that just wants to disrupt life in this place. And so, you may not want to split the party, but they may have different objectives. So I we today we're almost done. We're going to get into our ones for tomorrow as well. But I just think that simple prompts, whether you use the ones here, use the ones from the for yeah, yeah, they're exactly, Drew, right? Like city. I don't think that's small. I want the whole country destroyed, right? Yeah, and of course, there's always the twist, like maybe they were right. Maybe the pilgrims that arrived and the locals that no longer live here. Maybe there's a reason why they're all pissed off. Or, um, I'm looking at you, states. Anyway, um, yeah, we could get political if we'd like to, but I prefer not to. But yeah, the not only can objectives be uncovered, they can also change as well. You know, if the players find out, if let's say the twist is that the enemy, which might be brutalistic and things like that. Hi, kitty. Maybe the enemy is right, but their tactics are wrong. The players could then go, okay, enemy, please stop doing what you're doing. Let us solve the problem. Because if all you want is to say lay to rest your ancient ancestors that lived in the crypts below the city that they sealed up and covered up and now they built a town on top of, well, if all you want to do is get down there and lay them to rest, well, we can help you with that. But then another twist is maybe the people that lived here, or at least the ones in leadership, already knew this, and so therefore removing them from power because of their corruption and whatnot, maybe that's the thing where the city or the city state, or even hell, the whole country is now, they have no systems in place to separate it, and the players may have to step in and become the leadership, the boring parts, right? The leadership of the community. And now it's like the players are like, I didn't want to fill out tax forms and be a get into logistics, level 3 logistics or something. I wanted to go adventuring, and that could make its own issues. But yeah, objectives, goals, the purpose, like why is there a fight to begin with? That ogre I talked about with the bloody club and the cow under its arm, if the ogre just wanted to eat, that's probably a pretty easy way to solve that issue, right? They're like, I just wanted to steal some grog and eat a cow and live out in the woods. And the player's like, well, if that's it, hell, we could. What's the point in beating people about their head and shoulders? You could have just made a deal. And the ogre's like, duh, I wasn't thinking that, And so the players could very easily solve that situation. And I want to say that the OSR has embraced this kind of interaction with the enemies in the outer realms, the outer worlds, the uncivilized lands, because everyone knows that getting in fight after fight not only is useless, you never really got that much experience from it, but it also means that it's one facet of a way to deal with the situation. If every single encounter is just another monster that's balanced out so that we can fight it, then you're not telling other stories. But when the players find that the enemy has on it, like they have a special locket of yeah, exactly. Book 2 of the Topple the King fantasy series. Well, shit, now we have to run a country. Exactly. I mean, if we could be honest, most people that claim to be anarchists never consider the logistics of taking down a system. It's like, well, what do you replace the system with? Which I might be for the taking down of the way the system runs, but I'm not a fan of not having a thing in place to replace what it is. Like, all of us pretty much realize that late stage capitalism is a pyramid scheme. It's the line must always go up, and there's always people at the bottom. And I'm with everyone that's like this whole thing needs to change, but no one's really come up with a better system. Not really. Not now, mind you, it's the boring part, right? It's the, well, if you don't have capitalism, what do you replace it with? Like, how does average shit get done? And most people fail to accommodate for average stuff. Trash removal, um, children going to school, people just putting food on the table. Like when you disrupt that kind of stuff, it leads into a whole big thing. And while I understand, Spook, you're being kind of funny because it is funny, right? Book 1, we've taken the evil empire down. Book 2, logistics and, and compromises and all that kind of stuff, right? Um, yeah, those kind of things are pretty hilarious. Oh, you can't see her. Let's see if I can get her up a little bit higher and still use my arms, because you're about to fall asleep there, kitty. Yeah, you're about to fall asleep. Um, the the I think mixing the mundane. For some reason, I love mixing the mundane with the extraordinary, and um, yeah, it's. I mean, the problem. We all know the problem is that power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely. So if you have great resources, great power, great influence over something, most people that are want to control that kind of thing will eventually control it for despicable reasons, right? Um, and we we over here in the states love to put ourselves on a pedestal that other people don't have better systems, and despite the fact that those better systems are better for the people, which is why I said I call it a pyramid scheme, right? Things that are better for the bottom of the pyramid are often ignored because what about me at the top? What about me? I'm just a lowly billionaire. you know, you're not worried about my feelings, that kind of stuff. So yeah, well, we always take these hard turns towards the end of the show, but and actually, I might get out of here pretty early. You guys understand what this is about, right? You understand that having an objective like destroying something. Um, Nameless Spooks is a side plug for another YouTuber. The Feral Historian has been talking a lot about anarchy and governments, usually through '80s movies. That's a different way of putting something out there, but I've never heard of the Feral Historian. But okay, yeah, and also there's also we tend to be narcissistic about things, and this will relate to tabletop role playing games, right? Where um, enemies and their victims may have a very limited view of life because they see it through their own eyes, and not considering the aftermath of a thing. Talking about outcomes, right? People want things, but what's the outcome of getting that thing or not getting that thing? And I think a lot of times for storytelling purposes, it's the classic superhero thing where they beat up the bad guy, and sitting behind the hero is a destruction of like tens of thousands of people and murdered bodies, and destruction of cities. Like, what's the game? Sorry, animation. Invincible. Invincible does an excellent job of showing what happens when powerful superheroes do battle, and it's like, yeah, you won, but your ass sure did leave a lot of destruction around, even if it wasn't even their fault. Yeah. Mm-mm-mm. G says, I think power only reveals to people who have been lacking integrity. I agree with that. I mean, you look at Senator Bernie Sanders. I don't think he would sell it as ideals. What is this? I think the term is, and I'm going to butcher the quote, but power and influence makes you more of what you are, right? Like if you ever hear about the well, here they air on there's a show called like lottery. It's like lottery fantasy and lottery horror stories or something like that. And these people win the lottery, and then their life is ruined. And you understand that, like, you know what? Maybe it just made you more of what you would really be, rather than the power corrupting you. You know, that kind of stuff. Yeah, it's unfortunate, but you know. This is holy hell. I'm already subscribed to Feral, and I have no recollection of it. The almighty algo must have. See, the algorithms, the like, share, subscribe function doesn't really work any longer the way it used to. They changed the algorithm to discovery. For example, I get videos on my discovery algorithm from upwards of 10 years ago. I've like, there'll be a video that says, you know, 2 months ago and 1 week ago and 22 hours ago, and then right next to it is one from 6 years ago, 2 years ago, whatever, you know. Yeah, wherever you go, you take yourself with you. Yep. Yeah, wherever you, no matter where you go, there you are. And that is a real thing. And I think, you know, using that in tabletop role-playing games is like, and I think the OSR understands this. When you make a deal with the devil doesn't change. It's not like the devil's going to be like, oh, we made a deal, I'll never go back on that. Of course they'll go back on it. You know, when I talked about the hobgoblin, you know, military mercenary army, just because you made a deal with them doesn't mean that's the end of it. And I think sometimes players are reluctant, and game masters today have been trained that if they solve a problem with social interaction, there won't be a fight. Maybe not a fight today, but it doesn't mean there won't be a fight at all. You know, maybe in the next few hours, sure. But, you know, the hobgoblin chieftain might be like, if they gave us money, they could probably give us twice as much if we threaten their people. And they go, let's gather our forces. In 3 days' time, we're going to march upon the, you know, march up to the walls of blah, 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 where the players are at, right? And demand even more tribute. And the players are like, I thought we paid you off. And they're like, you failed your charisma check. You know, it's nothing like that. You know, charisma checks and persuasion checks are not, they're not spells. They're not end-alls. Yes, you convince the town guard to let you in the door. Yes, you convince the shopkeep to lower the price at this very moment. But later on, they might go, I made a deal, but you robbed me. You knew you were getting that as a cheap deal. Double the price. Where do you learn these new developments in the almighty algo of desolation? Well, I didn't learn them. I just noticed it. I mean, it's just you take a look at your subscriptions and then take a look at the videos that show up on YouTube, and they do not align at all. Subscriptions don't matter anymore. And even we used to have to tell people to hit the notification bell to be notified, and even that doesn't work. So it's wild. That is why I believe in the egocentric worldview. The whole universe revolves around me. All right, I forget what group that is in Planescape, where there's like, everyone else is just part of my dream. The void stares back at you, which is why we gradually adopt the traits of every enemy we've ever had. That is very true. Also, unfortunately, despicable and evil peoples tend to have a lot of successes, or appear to have successes that people want in a very, very fast and very people are very immediate, and it's not sexy to take the slow road, and so that's also a possibility. That's also a thing as well. Shai says, I've noticed that too. The new discovery you're talking about, at least they always let me know about your live streams. Oh, really? Oh, see, I like my subscribers are growing gradually. Like I'm at like 2,500 now, and per month it's about 10 to 15 on average. I think I've hit 17 so far this month, and most of the people that subscribed early on probably never see these videos, and probably never even see the going lives. I go live every day, or nearly. That's why that's why I put at the end of the doobly doo. I'm like, we start at 7-ish, Monday through Friday-ish, and those people never see the channel. They just don't see it at all. So yeah, success has a way of filtering out the normies, leaving only the villains at top. Exactly. And doing things with doing things with honor and with peace and with humanity tends to be slower and less shocking. What was it? President Carter passed away, and when he wasn't in the limelight, he was helping people with it was homes for humanities or something like that. I mean, he was always doing humanitarian work. The guy was never in the news for what he was doing, ever, right? But how many people has he helped out literally by his own hands? It's crazy. It's crazy about that. It's unfortunate. But there's the term, what is it? No good deed goes unpunished. And I live by that, hell, at my own job. I'll be going to work today and suffering at the hands of my own dedication. It's a deluge of dumb shit. When you started, it was a different world with very few dedicated RPG creators, and the few there were back then were all super intellectual. Then came the deluge of dumb shit. Well, yeah, they're feeding into the algo, right? It is the jumbotron, social medias and YouTube, Twitch, things like that are the algo benefits those who are loud and rambunctious. So if we went to a stadium to witness some sporting event or whatever, and there's the big jumbotron, the big screen that focuses on people, and they do the thing where it's like, kiss the partner next to you, show off your jersey, do the dance to the music and things like that. They only focus on the loudest ones, right? The wildest ones, or the ones doing something where they can be found that is embarrassing, And unfortunately, in that regard, that means that to get noticed, you have to be the angriest, the loudest, the wildest, and things like that. So if you now, I'm not saying that there aren't intellectuals that have risen to the top, but in general, that's not the case. Oh, thank you, Kitty. Carter's the only president generally agreed upon to have been a good man. Exactly. Even by his own detractors. Yep. His myriad F-ups in office did nothing to tarnish his character. Exactly. And I think he was playing the good man game in a system that doesn't benefit good men. Which is why I think, like, I think his two downfalls in office was the energy crisis with oil and hostage negotiation. And I think he felt that negotiation was a better thing than picking up guns and fighting. So the negotiations lasted so long through his term that it was a downfall for the next president to come along and feel like and got the win. I think it was Reagan. I am terrible with history and politics, but you get the point, right? The same can apply to fantasy and tabletop role-playing games, right? We are talking about objectives and outcomes here, and it's possible for the good guys to suffer at the hands of evil that want to destroy and disrupt and capture and hunt down the goodly people who are like, all we were trying to do is just not have a war, and now all of a sudden you started it, Maybe I should do an angry nerd rant thing to get the algo asshole to notice me and start dissing every successful punk band that's ever been. Maybe. I mean, listen, there's music channels, there's music dedication channels that do nothing but like diss on bands and their choices and things like that, and they get a lot of attention. So It's unfortunate, but it's true. Yeah, hey. Oh, it looks like I'm poking you with my thumb. I'm not doing that, buddy. Was it trickle down? Yeah, trickle down economy. Yeah, right. Labor is the most expensive cost of any business. People do not want to hire people, and those that are hired, they don't want to pay them good wages. Those wages are extracted out of the people with the money. They do not want to give it. There is no trickle down. Those were his big ones. He also gave away the Panama Canal and made all sorts of economically disadvantageous policy decisions. I'm a Carter fan, rock and roll president. Yeah. There's a lot of that stuff out there. Yeah, and yes, kind of, right? He says angry gets shit done. That's true, but then there's outcomes, right? Remember, we're talking about objectives and outcomes. Is the objective to get a thing done? Yes, but what's the outcome of it? Does it ruin relationships? Does it foster growth? There are, sometimes people forget that there are people on the other side of that. Bullies never understand the outcomes of their actions. So a bully steals money from a weaker person and goes, well, I now have cash in my pocket. They don't see the person that they beat going like, I'm gonna buy a fucking gun and put a bullet in the back of your head, right? They don't see that part. They don't, it's unfortunate, but sometimes some people don't have an idea of second and third order outcomes. And so he says the internet loves cats. Make your kittens more central. Get the kitty cam. You might be successful. Yeah, if I can get them to stay still. Yes, I think she's looking at my screen. Yeah, she's looking at my cursor. Yep. Yeah, it's because of the dopamine hit. Because sometimes we just want to like, get mad and I mean, hell, there's still people raging about WotC, and I'm just like, I don't really even care anymore. Hasbro, WotC, it's a business. They make business decisions, and that's not a burn, right? Like a business makes a business decision that I don't like. It's like the Spook is angry gets shit done. Yeah, of course it gets things done because of the dopamine hit, right? We don't feel, what is it, anger? Anger dumps the adrenaline into your body, so you don't feel what's going on. Yeah, and so therefore it's like, yeah, yep, yeah. Well, it also saves us in life, right? Fear, anger, frustration. It is a self-defense mechanism to keep us alive. So we kind of need it. We need it to survive, right? If the adrenaline didn't get pumped in our bodies, if that dopamine didn't hit us, then what's the point in living, right? So yeah. If I were girl, I'd be the Empress of Guitar Tube, even though I suck at guitar. True. There's a little bit of that too. We're not going to get into that one. So, because I know where you're headed there. I know where you're headed, because it's like the girls getting the attention over the guys, but then the girls have to kind of have to sell an image. Yeah, it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate that more people with that good people and people with talent and intellectual people and those that want to make things better don't rise to the top more often. Yeah, the WotC thing was a thrill at first. The first time I saw seriously dirty political rage bait as dedicated RPG channels, but even then it was, yeah, clear it was just dumb shit. Drew says it would be nice if not every single day there was something new, horrible done by the U.S. administration. I try to make a demo adventure for my system and it keeps growing. Yeah. Well, those of you from the outside, see, this is why I love the way we can do things by communicating from the outside. I see it, like, for example, I work for the Postal Service. We finally have a contract, one of the fastest contracts an arbitrator has ever released, because I believe it was out of fear that we might not have a contract and then be put in purgatory as to what's going to happen to us. And that's just my little small slice of the pie on my side of the world. But I mean, there's so many different things. The whole tariff threats and all that kind of stuff. I mean, it's throwing my retirement into flux doing this kind of thing. I've protected my money for the most part, me, my wife and I. But you talk about the dips and turns and the S&P and stuff like that. I pay attention to all that because that's going to be my livelihood, and it has thrown that way out of balance. Now the serious creatives and intellectuals are not only not doing well, they are way down. It's almost like the algo deliberately buried them. Well, I mean, here's another thing. We are our own fault when it comes to stuff like that. So if we didn't automatically click on things and encourage the way things are done, then the algorithm wouldn't learn from it. Which I actually was going to do this for a future Friday, that AI systems that are learning from us are now learning that the things that we the more we interact with things, the more these emulators, because they aren't actual AI systems, they're aggregators, aggregates and emulators, and they learn from our behavior. So then it's going to keep pushing more and more things into our backgrounds. Oh, sorry. I want to share some. Okay, so I'm going to turn this off because stop this and put your comments up here. And I've got they put up new backgrounds. Let's see what this looks like. Yeah, there's new oh wow. Huh, that's different. Huh. Wow. Oh, cool. I wonder if it's learning from my all these new backgrounds are sci-fi related. I wonder if it heard me because I like to talk about science fiction and stuff. There we go. There's some little difficult to see that. Let's see if I can't get myself smaller. Oh well. Man, that looks kind of cool. Starfields. I think there's is there another Starfield? Yeah, another Starfield. Wow, that's cool. All right, let's get back to your. Oh, that's the old blackened one. All right, that's cool. Well, what I mean, why this is at your own fault by not deliberately producing rage bait and dumb shit. I mean, well, yes, for me. Like, for example, I give you a perfect example. Last week, I did a series of, like, why does D&D do a thing, right? Why alignment, why hit points, why classes, and things like that. I got triple the views by bitching about D&D. Right? I mean, the thumbnail had somebody with like some kind of outrageous look on their face, and then I had the D&D logo in it, which is for free share. And I mean, we did talk about it. It wasn't like we didn't talk about it, but was it rage baity? Probably. I mean, I'm not completely ignorant of the fact that like putting D&D into the title is a thing that will draw people into it, and then complaining about that thing and having somebody with like, let me see if I can do a maze face. All right, hold on, kitty. I got to do a maze face. I got to do the, or what's the other one? Like, angry. What's another face? Oh, the rubbing the chin, like, that's another one. Fist in the air, like right by the face, like, that's another one. If I do that a number of times on the thumbnail, I mean, I'm sure I'd get a bunch of hits. Like, why not? Right? And there's some channels that are dedicated to the um, that are dedicated to like the pointing at the thing, or like the red arrow that curves over into the thing, and then like the I can't believe, or the shrug shoulder. Hmm? you know. Please don't capture that. If you guys could do me a favor, please don't capture that. Oh shit. You were on target last week, point for point with Professor Dungeon Master. Well done. I mean, to be honest with you, yeah. It's unfortunate, but yeah, I mean, like, you know what? I should do that for you guys. Like, I should bring up like my channel's algorithms, and I'll show you the differences in algorithms based on viewership and that kind of thing, and share it to you, and just show you like this is what happens when you put out a thumbnail, or like what is it called, a hot take or something like that. Yeah 3d6 down the line, that's a jack to you. It ended up being Wootwad's most successful video, and all from hate watching because he was dissing classic Beckme rules. Yep. But then you also get the angry people in your comment section. I still think going with the cats might be the better route. Yeah, I do get the people that are just like, you're stupid. I mean, people still shit on my lawn. It's okay. You can't respond to like every detractor, or like your thing is dumb and stupid and you don't know what you're talking about. I still get those comments in the comment section. It's like, oh, okay, whatever. Like what? It's so weird to have an intense emotional reaction about a tabletop role-playing game that literally both myself and other people have zero impact on. It's wild. So here we go. Let's create a kitten RPG together in memory of Sophie Soph, and featuring Brutus and Scarlet. That would be awesome. Yeah, she would love that. Sophie's older. She's still here, but she just doesn't want to be social any longer because she's getting into her old age now. Yeah, kitty. Yeah, lickety lick. I wonder. Now that you bring up the kitten cam, because I suppose I could do the whole like let's see if I can pick up my camera without disrupting too much. Yeah, you're on camera there, buddy. You look mangy, but you're not. You're actually just you have your kitten hair. Yeah, it's all kitten hair. I appreciate it. Her pupils have dilated because there's a light on the front of the camera, and the dilation is happening. I can really see it in her eyes and stuff like that, because she's got pretty beady black eyes, but it's pretty funny. You're like a little bear. Yes, you are. You're like a little bear. Anyway, guys, Spook says, I'm quite fond of the laid back channel. I don't have the energy for the others. Yeah, well, that's why we're here, right? Like, just to, I am aware enough and sarcastic enough to both play in that region and get the hell out, if that makes sense. Angry comments usually come across as hilarious cell phones on my channel, at least. Yeah. And Spook says, I'm quite fond of laid back energy. Yep. Yeah. I'm older too. Like I'm a dude of a certain age that has seen some of these things happen so much. It's so funny. That's funny. So anyway, guys, thank you very much for being part of the show. I really appreciate it. And we, end of the show, we always do this kind of stuff. We just kind of rant and rave and other things. But I will say that, I want to get your comments back up here to show other people that the comments will appear, and bam, there they go. We're going to finish this out talking about like creative ways to make combat more interesting, to find objectives and outcomes. We've devolved a little bit into objectives and outcomes for the algorithms too, which kind of works as well. But yeah, we'll get into it, and we'll talk about something in pop culture will come up that we will use for next week. Someone did mention that they really like the idea of using current events in pop culture for tabletop role-playing prompts. And while I tend to stay away, like this isn't a political channel, and we could have our own politics. I'm far too. I fall too far into common sense to be very political, to be politically charged, because nowadays politics is kind of religion, the way people feel about it. But maybe we might do some things like that, because I've noticed, especially in our community, tabletop community, how like Shadow Dark has like risen to the top now, and there are creators that are now doing Shadow Dark versions of their releases, and talking about Shadow Dark taking over from D&D, which isn't going to happen. But maybe we can talk about some of those things, especially as Drawsteel, Daggerheart, and I can't think of the other releases that are coming to fruition. So maybe we might talk about those as well. So I appreciate it there, Nameless Spook, for you saying that, and I appreciate all of you guys just being brilliant and opinionated and bringing your best. So thank you very much, guys. Have a great one. Thank you very much for being part of the show. Anybody that's got here this long and stuck around, maybe because you couldn't reach your phone or computer to turn it off, whatever the case may be, please like, share, subscribe, even though I understand that it doesn't really work that way. But yeah, I really appreciate it if you come this far, and let other people know. And to be honest with you, I don't script the show out. So if you have a point or something that other people could benefit from, or a storyline, or a game, or a question, or a subject matter that we like to do long form, I would love to be part of that, and use that as a prompt for us to talk about. Drew says, I'm certainly very political, and I think the idea that our hobby could be apolitical is a fantasy in and of itself. I agree. I think it's so weird. The only reason people complain about politics in gaming is because it's politics they don't agree with. When it is something you agree with, most people are just fine with having it there. You know what I mean? People can always benefit from more kittens than we can. That's true. Politics is an asshole magnet. Yep, every musician and entertainer who's ever weighed in on politics has gotten dogpiled so much that it sometimes qualifies as a major scandal. Yeah, that's true. That's very true. I have a sister-in-law who can't stand one of her favorite artists because their platform allows them to talk about politics. She doesn't agree with those politics, and it's just like, then just ignore it. Whatever. It's really weird. We are so tribal that we are scared of other people having other opinions that either take away from our tribe or grow a bigger tribe somewhere else. Yeah, it's unfortunate. About how. Wow. Yeah, there are people, social media, and people are so quick to throw stones at other people. It's wild. It is so wild. Like, someone says an offhand comment in the spur of the moment of a not quite thought out response from a human being who actually has no opinion about the matter in general, and they just get shut down, right? It's like, I'm a musician. Why do you even care about my opinion about that thing? But it's since you ask, and then they answer the question, and then people get mad. It's like, why? They could have wrote that shit on the bathroom stall wall, or so. They're just, it's weird. It's just so weird. But oh well. Anyway, guys, have a great one. I'll see you later. Peace and tranquility. That's funny. You know what? I part of me, Drew, because I hear what you're saying. And part of me wanting to create and release this Obsidian Star thing I'm talking about. I'm still trying to figure out how to do the triggering trigger warning content on the game. It's like 5 pages long or something like that, and I gotta get it cut down to like 300 words or something. And I'm just like, oh shit, there's another thing that might be triggering, and another thing, and another thing. And yeah, it's so wild. So anyway, guys, thank you very much. Please, Drew, if and when you release it, please let me be the first to have a go at it, or hell, even join me on camera if you want to, or maybe just by voice or something like that. So please allow me to be a promoter. I would love to. Guys, have a great one. I'll see you later. Tranquility. Yeah, happy Vice Friday, y'all. Bye.